That would be why. 1 second. Here. So I think what I need to do is you grab an HDMI to run this for camera.
Okay.
I have the tip in the corner, but we don't have it connected to my phone.
Okay.
So I need to grab an HDMI real quick. Run
Okay.
Here, and then it'll be similar to like
Yeah.
corner.
Hold on. Good morning, Dr. Akintobi. So we can see you, and when someone calls in via Zoom, they can see. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. You have a good morning. Bye-bye. You're welcome. All right. Yes, because she was supposed to be here in person. So she's delivering that's the welcome. So they'll need to see her there. Okay. All right. Thank you. And let me see the time. 1 second. See here. Okay, and so the time to start for her is 8 a.m.
Yeah, we'll just need to do the HDMI out of that and the free. And who are we signed in as
Signed in, I think. Question. What about the other meetings?
Yeah.
Are there other meetings, the breakout meetings? Or
Yes.
say full.
Oh, good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we can keep it up there.
And so, like when I need her to go on, it'll be the 3. Ooh, what did I see?
No, there's nothing on 3. Good morning, Brian.
So how will I go about getting her up there? Like a pit?
And here.
Oh, so she'll be 3.
Where's you plugging in?
Oh, I'll plug it here. Like this.
Oh. There you go. So 3 will be your Zoom feed. You should should only have to be putting that up there. I see it. The Black Magic did. That was weird. It kind of adjusted and then unadjusted.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Oh. So it looks like it adjusts itself back. That's weird.
Well,
But so you won't be using the image at all. When you take them up, it'll just be that you put up there. Because her image will come up as the main. Mhm. Then I've got a revolving slideshow here, just on field player. But they're gonna want one of these videos, or as these videos playing now, they want this video as well. So you'll have to queue that up. She sent me a roadshow via email, so I'm just gonna forward it to you. This morning it's like boom, 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 keynote, and then they're done at 11 or 10:30. So only a half day for teching.
yeah, but for the lady, I'm thinking,
It's Matthew Dot Parker.
Yep. the lady, I'm thinking, for the lady, I'm thinking.
Yes. You'll just have to remove the pin from that, and you'll see her there when she turns her camera on.
But that's not his camera. Because they want
Oh.
her, when she turns her camera on, to be in the corner.
Okay, I see what I'm doing.
It's a hard.
There we go. So that's fine. That's how you want it. Mhm. Now you're just getting a live view. It's on this computer. Are you familiar with this camera? Yep. Yes. or last night at like 8 o'clock. But yeah, that video is what I was talking about. And then we can put keynote, which apparently he has a video, which they haven't. I haven't seen a presentation from him either, so it may just be camera feed. But for the most part, in room, like the camera is really only for Zoom, so no real need to be taking camera feed for iMac here at all. Just there she was. Have we tested audio?
Let me know if
Can
you
you go
need
ahead and
me
bring her
to,
audio up?
let me know if you need me to say anything. I just heard you, so I wanted to be sure you could hear me.
I just heard her stuff.
Does that sound, can you hear me okay?
See, is it going through HDMI? No, not through speakers. It's not Bluetooth. And she just muted herself. Yeah, bring it up. Getting audio. Go ahead and keep it up.
Music.
This keynote speaker isn't going to stay on focus. I'll go grab some pictures for you. What did she just say? Unmute. Check 1, 2. Good morning. Can you hear me on Zoom?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect, perfect. I'm ready. I'm ready to go when you are. Victoria said she'll give me a text cue to unmute and get on video. So seems like we're okay.
Yep. We're waiting for the cue as well.
Thank you.
I'll go grab some batteries, Brian, if you want. batteries. And I might have him sit in just to be a extra button pusher. Or would you rather him sit where you're sitting? I'm just gonna have you sit in portion of this. Extra set of hands. Okay. Push buttons. We got another group next door that needs to.
I just never had a reason. It's just fun and work right here. Yeah, on Bluetooth speaker there. Like I say, sent a bunch of those to each property.
Looks nice and simple.
Where we at? Let's take it. Which one's the zip on?
If I give you a video, can you play it for us?
Yeah.
Okay. I have it on a thumb drive.
Okay.
Yeah, we can play it up on the internet. It's like,
Okay, yeah. Video guy just stepped out for a second. Let me go get him.
well, I mean,
What do you mean?
sorry,
Your key.
it's up to you. Pull it off the internet. I have the thumb drive right here. Okay, right.
See if we can find it.
Man, I can't even see. You see when I say now this?
Now that-
Yes. What y'all doing this morning? This is early. I'm from New Orleans. This is like Central Time.
You can't have multiple VLC players open at once. Yeah. Try playing it just with the windows on half. Yeah. So where did you say we could pull it offline?
I mean, won't play that. Try the next video. I know. The one that said promo. I just spoke with NACS, trade organization.
Yeah, that one's working.
Right, so you understand what I'm saying? Forget it then. I don't want to put you through it.
If we can find it online.
If you find out, get it for you. Give me Google and I get it.
Did you see the pictures? The telescope? Pretty neat stuff. Of course, there's no way of telling if it's actually water.
There you go. From That's good? Yep. I'll take the drive.
Did you get that second video? And you can delete that unsupported file. Parker, just when you're playing that video, use your deduction on when to go ahead and fade to black or fade to the next screen.
Get her, that's our chair, that's our associate director.
Now, you said we had 2 people coming in over Zoom.
Yes, so that's this right here, so,
So Dr. Langley is dialing in.
yes, so, see, Dr. Langley and Dr. Akintoki, our leadership, both of them are.
Okay. But we're still gonna do the video.
Yes, everything is, everything is what's on. And I'll tell you this, it's 8. We can actually start because they'll have to stay on schedule.
It's that one recording.
So I'm just letting her know they're about to. So you want to text her to let her know when to start? Or y'all open it up when she starts? I have her to text.
So she's ready to go.
Okay, so I'll tell her to start.
You can. Go ahead and take her on the screen. What do you want to introduce?
I will, okay.
Because she'll hear you on the microphone. You're getting the camera feed, right? Yes. They'll introduce him and then video. I'm asking him to make sure now.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to introduce Dr. Terry Akintoki. She's the chair of the Department of Health and Preventive Medicine in Morehouse School of Medicine. She's delivering this.
Thank you so much, everyone. On behalf of Morehouse School of Medicine and the Department of Community Health and Preventive Medicine, I am thrilled to welcome you to the 2022 Health Promotion Resource Center Colloquium. We want to welcome you and spend just a few minutes, for those who don't know, sharing with you the overall mission and a bit of the history of the Health Promotion Resource Center, which we affectionately call the HPRC. The HPRC at Morehouse School of Medicine was established in 1988 under the Department of Community Health and Preventive Medicine, which I am honored to serve among many as its chair, as collaborators in advancing health equity. The primary goal was to develop a health promotion and disease prevention model for minority and other populations disproportionately impacted by health disparities, meaning poorer health, and anything else that's connected to it. We are very clear that health, people spend more of their time out of a clinical setting. So health is connected to economic development. It's connected to mental and behavioral feelings of belonging, social connectedness, among many other things. And the HPRC has been integral across the state of Georgia in helping to promote, engage, and empower communities and leaders to effectively be change agents for our state of Georgia and beyond. The philosophy of the HPRC is that health promotion efforts are likely to be more successful in populations where the at-risk community is empowered to identify its own health concerns, develop its own prevention and/or intervention strategies, and form a decision-making coalition to make policy decisions, and identify resources for program implementation. So in a nutshell, this means that doing work that is just in response to a funding agency is not enough. We must bring the people who are affected and affected, amplify their voices and leadership, and take action. HPRC has been an exemplar in how we do that, and that has not been done without leaders and partners like you. So the main theme for this year's colloquium is exploring empowerment and engagement. This year's goal is to offer an opportunity for professional development and networking for people like you, whether you're a provider, a community leader, or a key stakeholder in evidence-based prevention and health promotion programs to increase knowledge and expertise in the field. Just as a reminder for all of you today and through this meeting, the objectives are to increase knowledge of risk and protective factors that contribute to life outcomes for youth, families, and communities. We want to promote awareness of strategies that address optimal adolescent health. And finally, the goal of this event is to disseminate tools and resources that promote personal and professional development. This really takes all of us. We are honored by the keynote speaker of Dr. Calvin Mackey. We are also looking forward to, and some of you may have experienced remarks from Mark Fomby, Gemma Scorton, among many others. This event will be as successful as your interaction, your being poised to listen, act, and network as we look to make sure that the health of youth, adolescents, and communities are prioritized and that we take action for our state. I want to just say again that the HPRC, along with Morehouse School of Medicine and its partners, are integral to our institution's vision of leading the creation and advancement of health equity in urban and rural Georgia. This colloquium directly contributes to this mission. So we anticipate that the sharing of evidence-based strategies by you, your best practices and lessons learned, as well as recommendations for action during this empowering and engaging colloquium will motivate youth, parents, and communities to live their and our collective best lives. We look forward to your active engagement and collaboration toward the path forward today. You are the best part of what we do, and I want to salute Dr. Langley and her team of the HPRC for making this possible. Welcome and enjoy the colloquium.
So let's go ahead and just play her video. No, I take it back.
rights and opportunity and the total chair of the property. And that's, we welcome you to the Health and Resource Center, E3 Global, exploring, engagement, and empowerment. I'm Dr. Mary Langdon, Director of the Resource Center, Professor in the Department of Medicine, and Project Director for Global Taking Time and statewide network of partners, parents, caregivers, and SNAP. I know that over the next 3 days, we will explore with research on evidence-based intervention to enhance neurological and skill experience prevention. You will engage with your fellow colleagues to share knowledge and lessons learned over these past 2 years. You will feel empowered to go back and apply these theoretical concepts and knowledge gained to engage with your colleagues during this dynamic event. At this time, I will thank my team to conceptualize and plan this unique learning experience. At this level, Ms. Trees Flowers, Program Manager of T3, Ms. Victoria Masson, Program Manager of SNAP. Both of these projects are funded by the Office of Population Affairs. I also want to thank Ms. Deborah Harris, Program Manager for the Partners Prevention Project. This is funded by the Georgia Department of Behavioral Development. Ms. Sarah Lasker, my Associate Director, who keeps me on target and from overreacting challenge. It's also my personality. React first, think later. Those who attend this Alex Jackson workshop will learn all about food. Last but not least, Dallas program coordinator. As I like to say, she is the blueprint all of our projects. As I close, I am reminded of the story told about the Buckhorn tribe and God. It is a legend of the mystical Sankofa bird. You can see the symbol of this bird on the screen. As you will see, the bird head is turned backwards, and there is an egg that's just dropped out of his beak, but as it flies forward. The egg stands as a symbol of knowledge. The head turned backward symbolizes looking at the past as you fly forward. And what it symbolizes that don't forget what you learned from the past experience as you gain new knowledge to move forward. So that as you were down there in at this wonderful location, that you're going to get some new knowledge about some new concepts of program. But I don't want you to forget what you learned from the past. Together from new knowledge, learn from the past, will ensure that you have a strong future, and then we will have a successful third year. There's a lot of exciting things to learn at the moment, but I don't want you to forget to enjoy yourself, because all work and no play makes for early for professional work. Now, as I close, remember, in this new normal that we live in, stay safe. And have fun. You guys hear me? I can see you. So I want to give you. I have been tasked with giving you guys an overview. As I said yesterday, my name is Tracy Flowers, and I'm the program manager for the project. I'd like to thank our department chair, Dr. Ashton, and our division chair, Dr. Mary Langton, for all of their work and their. Thank you. Thank you. And they're welcoming us to the 2022 HPRC colloquium with the theme of exploring, empowerment, and engaging. We have several really exciting and interesting sessions planned for everyone. So, like we said, engage. I think it's going to be an awesome networking and learning opportunity for everyone. A few of the logistics. This is our main floor. This is the room in lunch and all of the general sessions. Our breakout sessions are all upstairs. The rooms we have are Forsyth, Franklin, Chatham, and Johnson, and they're all in like a little L-shaped upstairs. If you didn't grab one of these forms, they're out there on the table that have the rooms listed. That they lunch is in between today from 12 to 1:30. And the next sessions, the actual breakout sessions start at 10:30 today. Tomorrow, the sessions start at 9, and we have sessions all day tomorrow. I think that's it. We do have a special guest that Victoria and I would like to acknowledge. Since they are here, this work that we have been it takes a team of people to do this work, and it takes good leadership, right? And Dr. Atkins told me and Dr. Langley, they lead with their hearts, and they have kept us on track. But prior to that, our department chair was Dr. Beverly Taylor. And she helped to get us going, and she was here when our project started in 2020. She is semi-retired, but Morehouse won't let her go. Because, you just don't let good people go, right? You hold on as long as you can. So we want to acknowledge her, so she's here with us as our chair emeritus. Almost, right? Because she still works. But Dr. Taylor, we would like you to come up. Thank you so much for everything I met her, started during the pandemic, so we were kind of hybrid. And the first day I met Dr. Taylor, she walked up with that smile. And she volunteered. So, but such a hard, sharp work that we know her. I love seeing her around the office, certainly an influence of work ethic, hard work, competency, and education. So, it's good knowledge. Good morning, everyone. So I just told them they have tricks. So they told me that I could come here, have a vacation. I want to thank all of you all for the work that you do. What you make HPRC what it is. Without your participation in my work, really dynamic keynote that's going to bring us some words of wisdom and share his wealth of knowledge and expertise with us. And Ms. Victoria Broussard will give you an introduction now.
Good morning. Today, I will introduce Dr. Calvin Mack, that he will tell you his story. His background in life's mission truly embodies our theme of exploring empowerment and engagement. Dr. Calvin Mack is an award-winning mentor, inventor, author, former engineering professor, and internationally renowned speaker and successful entrepreneur. In 2013, Dr. Mackey founded STEMCOLA, a nonprofit organization created to expose, inspire, and engage communities in the opportunities of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. To date, STEMCOLA has engaged over 75,000 K-12 students in hands-on project-based STEM activities. In 2021, he launched STEM Global Action to advance K-12 STEM education across the U.S. and the world. Now, some of you may be familiar with Dr. Mackey post-Hurricane Katrina, in two HBO documentaries centered around Hurricane Katrina, and worked with former Louisiana Governor Catherine Walker. And he is a Morehouse graduate. So, he credits his career success to attending Morehouse College. And upon reading Mr. Mackey's last night, and in the speech that I authored, but I know this by heart because I've read it in HBC times, he said he has been born 3 times through his mother, through his career, and through Morehouse. And he said he would not be doing what he's doing had he not gone to Morehouse College, a college committed to success, the success we see here today, and that we are striving for today. His message and his life's mission continues to transcend race, gender, ethnicity, religion, and time. Through his words, I am certain you will be empowered and engaged. And as a Louisiana native, I am proud to introduce to you another Louisiana native and Morehouse College graduate in our keynote, Dr. Calvin Mack.
Our kids will have to have skills to create and to innovate, to participate in the 21st century. And that's why the exposure of STEM is so important. It can't start in middle school, high school, or college. It got to start at 4 and 5 years old, so it becomes a part of it. And lexicon becomes a part of it day and day. So one day my son came home, he was in 3rd grade, and he said, Dad, I want my sons to think. I'm like, boy, that can't be true, it's in your DNA, right? And he was like, no, Dad, when my teacher always speaks to the boys, and I like to do stuff with my hands. I said, well, son, we have to fix that. So it's not going out into the garage, it's not doing all these hands-on activities, it's not going out into the kids. Who, you know, my other son got involved, the kids, you know, the street got involved. I said, did you tell me you do this in the garage with your dad? He said, yeah, Dad, but my friends did this. But the problem there was that my son's going to a magnet school instead of Louisiana, all the top schools. And if his friends were not being exposed, what does that say on all the rest of the kids in other neighborhoods and other communities that not as privileged as his? We planned for 100 kids to show up in the gym and go on this east. And we had over 250 kids, 150 parents, in a rain rained in December and we realized we were on to something. So in New Orleans, the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, we had one of the greatest, most expansive ed reform movements, where ed reform, the charter movement took over all the schools. But in my experience, in terms of STEM education, the delivery of content and execution is pretty much the same. I can't really get that by hook or crook, but it's definitely not intentional that that is a part of the curriculum for kids to get that and be prepared for the world before them. We live in a country right now that makes sure every black and brown boy touches a football before the age of 4. And no one questions that. In the 21st century, our children only have 3 options. Either they're going to take something, bring something, and or make something. If we don't give them the skills and education and motivation to make something, that's only going to leave them the 2 options that we see on the news every night. Just imagine if a kid can come from Akron and Burton of New Orleans and create the next billion-dollar unicorn company and transform the economy in her community for her people. I mean, that's a dream that I dream every day. Not alone about kids can dream. Good morning. Good. Thank you all for having me. I say thank you to Morris School of Medicine, to Dr. Plenary, Dr. Kobe, and definitely thank you, Victoria, for that introduction. My name is Calvin Mackey, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm from Macatown, Burtontown, Science City. I'm from the lower 90 where we don't mind down. I'm from that Mount Magnolia I brought up to. I'm from that CP3. You know me. So if you thought you was going to get the regular presentation, and you get that big introduction, this is Dr. Mackey, I'm going to say, well, good morning, and so I'm going to be able to get that type of presentation. Let you know I'm not going to tell you. Before I get started, I got to give you a couple of caveats. My beautiful wife, Tracy, who's on this video, is a pharmacist. She believes that I'm ADD and I've never been treated before. My passion from anger. Everywhere I go around the world, when I come off the stage, when I do something, when I speak my piece, when I talk about my existence and talk about the world through the lens and experiences that I have lived, somehow people say I'm angry. I never forget a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, I was at General Electric, it was 2,200 African American leaders for General Electric. And it was Jeff Kennedy, one of the most powerful CEOs in the world, Al Sharpton and me. And I'm thinking, I said, this is said, that's not right. I said, he said, what? I said, what are you talking about? I said, man, dreams do come true. You never know that a black boy from Macatown, Burtontown, Science City, or he's sitting next to one of the powerful CEOs speaking to your global leaders. And we got to never forget that. We're dealing with some of the most challenging situations, some of the most challenging communities, some of the most challenging people, but we got to believe that dreams come true, even still today. I don't care what anybody says. We still live in a great country. I don't care what anybody says. This is the only place where you can get up every day and work to make your dreams come true. With all of the challenges, with all of this business, we still got the possibility, if the Lord bless us, to wake up with our eyes open, is to get up and put one foot in front of the other and make a difference in our lives and in our communities. just passionate. And I'm glad and happy to be here today with other passionate people. Because that's what it takes to do the work that you all have been shown to do. That's it. You've got to be passionate about this. Our problem is I go into the community and deal with too many people, and they ain't passionate. That's Don King with success. Don King says, set yourself on fire. People will show up to watch you burn. I ain't getting too many people on fire anymore. Walking around with whole ice pack on their back. Just trying to get to
in, just trying to manage the situation, hope it don't blow up under their leadership. We now honor people for the jobs that they get rather than the outcomes that they deliver. No, clap on that one. I just left the Essence Fest. They had more firsts. We're going to get us an award for being the first. We're going to get us an award for being elected. We're going to get us an award for being a president. And I'm like, but what have they? Let me get back on track. James Baldwin said a passion is unfriendly. He said a passion is contemptuous and arrogant of everything that's not itself. He said a passion contains a challenge, but a passion contains an unspeakable hope. And when I go around this country, now when I go around this world, I challenge everybody that got anything to do with community and children and education, but I refuse to leave them with an unspeakable hope. And this thing called hope is real. Just like Victoria said, I went to Morehouse College, and I've been born 3 times in my life, through my mother, through my Creator Jesus Christ, and through Morehouse College. Because Morehouse gave a hopeless little bag boy some hope. This thing, because somebody ran for president, used the word hope. Now everybody mad at hope, like hope a fellow of the word. Hope ain't never did you nothing. Hope is the only thing that took us from where we were. Hope is the only thing that got us to where we are today. And guess what? Hope is the only thing that's going to take us to where we need to go. This thing called hope. America is built on one thing and one thing only, the hope that we're going to get up and do what's right. January 6th was a challenge to that hope that people have in this place called America. Because when the people stop believing, something going to happen. Just like the people who stopped believing and charged the Capitol on January 6th, are the same people terrorizing our community because they've lost hope in this system also, except that they're attacking the wrong people. Maybe you ain't hear me. This thing called hope. I have a friend named Dr. Troop, and Dr. Troop said, Brother Mackin, when you lose money, you've lost a little. He said, when you lose a friend, you've lost a lot. He said, when you lose hope, you've lost it. And when I go around the country looking at many of the eyes of our young people, look like they've lost it. But it's our responsibility to go back into our communities. It's our responsibility to do the job that we've been charged with, to bring back hope to the hopeless. That's what we've been called to do. And you don't do this work without a calling. This thing called hope is real. Hope is the thing that caused the old lady to sit down and caused the nation to stand up. Hope is the thing that made Tuskegee Airmen believe that they could fly airplanes when their own government told them they couldn't. Hope is the thing that made George Washington Carver do with a peanut 100 years ago that Harvard PhDs still cannot do today. Hope is the thing that made, hope is the thing that turned crackheads into preachers, pimps into teachers. Hope is the thing that took a little black boy in Alabama and made him have a dream that he can have a dream and change the world. And you got to remember that Martin Luther King wasn't killed because he had a dream. Martin Luther King was killed because he got up every day and tried to make his dreams come true. And when we do the work that we do, and when we go back to the communities and do what we're supposed to do, and try to give people a better life, and help the community, you better believe that there will be people trying to stop you too. Hope is the thing that took a black man in South Africa and sent him to jail at 46, and 27 years later, he came out a world leader. Hope is the thing that even made our founding fathers right. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that some people, white people, no, all people are created equal. Hope is the thing that made John F. Kennedy say, don't ask what you can do for your nation, Don't ask what your nation can do for you. Ask what you could do. Ask what you could do for your nation. Hope is the thing that even made my friend George W. Bush, when he ran for president the second time, George W. stump speech was called the duty of hope. Even Ronald Reagan, when he talked about the shining city on the hill, Ronald Reagan said America's the last best hope for man on earth. Now that's some hope for your behind. Hope is the thing that made Cesar Chavez organize migrant farm workers. Hope is the thing that took a black boy with a white mom and a goat herding daddy and made him believe he can be president. And a whole lot of people said, no, you can't. But America stood up and said, yes, you can. You see, Victoria, hope is that little voice in your head that whispers maybe when the whole world is screaming no. I don't know about you. I don't know where you're from. I don't know your background. I don't know your mama. I don't know your daddy. I don't know what school you went to or you wasn't admitted to. But this is what I do know. Where I come from, bro, I thought my name was No growing up. I used to say, can I go to your school? No. Can I go over here? No. Can I get a job? No. Can I play over there? No. Can I ride my bike there? Can I come in your mall? No. Do you think I could be a doctor? No. All the beautiful women in here. When I was growing up, I used to ask you all the time, may I get your phone number? No, they used to tell me. They used to tell me no. You see what I'm saying? See, man, back in the day, they didn't want me, but now since I'm hot, see, the point is this, the work that we do, I don't know who's telling the community no. I don't know who's telling the kids no. I don't know who's telling the family no's. But when we show up, we got to tell them yes. That's our responsibility. So I'm here today because we can't lose hope. How are we going to work with the hopeless and we don't have no hope ourselves in what we're doing in our processes? Hope, that's what we got to have. And I know about having hope in the face of nothing. See, I used to be a professor at Tulane University. First and only African-American ever tenured in the history of the College of Engineering at Tulane. I never had a black coworker. I used to go to work every day listening to Tupac, Me Against the World, and I'll leave every day listening to Biggie, Who Shot Ya? Because it was a battle. Then the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, Tulane University made an unbelievable decision. Tulane University, in the aftermath of the greatest engineering disaster in the history of America, the second greatest engineering disaster in the history of the world at that time, decided to keep the football team and eliminate the engineering program. And the message that Tulane University sent to the community of New Orleans is a message that many big majority institutions are sending to our children every day. And that message is you can come to this university and run that rock, dunk that ball, hit that pill, stop, drop it like it's hot, and entertain us. But you think about coming to this university and getting a science, technology, engineering, a mathematics degree, and saving yourself and your community from the next natural disaster. Isn't it funny? A brother can be strong as an ox and fast as a rabbit living in a cave in West Virginia, and somehow these big colleges find him. And then when they look at their test scores, and their test scores is not what they're supposed to be, they say, don't worry about that. We'll bring you to our institution because we'll put you in a learning community, and we'll put wraparound services to you. We'll even give you your own diet to keep you healthy and strong. But the young sister or the young brother or the young kid that goes to the same school with better grades and better test scores, you wonder why they don't have hope. Big university saying we can't find black professors. I was on HBO and they said this dude done lost his job. I ain't got one call. I understand it though. Who want me on their campus? They're like, we don't want, President told me I need you on my campus like I need a hole in my head. I said, damn right. So in the aftermath of Katrina, not only did I lose my six-figure job, my family lost 28 houses. My daddy, the week before Hurricane Katrina, had been diagnosed with level 2 lung cancer. That Monday of Hurricane Katrina, we were supposed to put him in a system, start his treatment. We had to evacuate. Took us 6 weeks to find him. After we found him, we finally made it to a hospital. And the hospital couldn't properly diagnose him because the water destroyed all of his records. So we had to ride all around the state of Louisiana trying to find another hospital before they can diagnose him. And by the time they diagnosed him, the cancer had spread to all over his body. This big old strong man who dropped out of school in the 8th grade to pick cotton, who in the aftermath of Hurricane Betsy in 1965 put a ladder on his car and eventually created a roofing company that became one of the biggest roofing companies in the state of Louisiana, feeding over 100 black families. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, he lost his business, he lost his dream house, and eventually he lost his 8 people moved in my house with me. I never forget when I got to Tulane that day and they said they was eliminating the engineering program. My buddy was a football coach. He called me and said, Dr. Mackey, man, damn, how the hell I'm here as a football coach and you going as a tenured faculty member? I said, man, don't get it twisted. Maybe the young brothers in the hood got it right. He said, what you mean? I said, maybe I should have been doing wind sprints when I was studying calculus. Left Tulane, I pulled up to my house where 8 people had moved in with my wife and my 2 kids. I live in New Orleans and live like in this area, the reclaimed swamp. And they got palm trees and dude was up in my tree, cutting my tree. I said, look here, man, you might want to get down out that tree. I opened my door. When I opened my door, my 2 sons was playing with their little Thomas train. And they saw me and they said, Daddy, and they ran to me and I kissed them. Love you, sons. The train was still running by itself. My wife, Tracy, was in there cooking for everybody. And if you know Victoria from Louisiana, she know how we put it down. We had that bland food last night and we talked about it. But they did say the rice had some onion in it and that was good. That's why I ride around with my hot sauce, bro. I got a bag every time I go to TSA. I'm like, man, that's my hot sauce, bro. 3.4 ounces, it can get through. My wife was in the kitchen cooking for everybody. She was cooking up red beans, she was cooking gumbo, she was frying catfish, she was making etouffee, and she was making her world famous potato salad. Now, I don't know how y'all make potato salad, but good potato salad is smooth, and it's yellow, and they ain't got no raisins in it. She take them potatoes and she cut them up real fine and she boil them and she's shaking her head. Then she smash them up. I mean, her potato salad is so smooth, sometimes I just rub it on my face. Whoa! Kissed her, say I love you. And she was cooking for everybody. And she had the vent on, they had the air conditioner on, they had the lights on, they had the window open. Only thing I saw was money going out the window. My little nephew had moved in with me. He in the corner. He got the computer on, the iPad on, the headphones on. I said, man, can you just turn something off? My big brother had moved in with me. My big brother, 4 years my senior, he lost his house, he lost his job. He upstairs by his damn self. He got the TV on, the lights on, the air conditioner on, the computer. I said, man, can you just turn something off? Because everybody just come downstairs and get in one room. My daddy had moved in with me on hospice. He in the corner with his oxygen mask on, he waving. And I thank God that I had done something in my life such that when this imperfect man needed me, when this imperfect man, maybe y'all don't know imperfect men. Ma'am, I thank God I had done something with my life such that when this imperfect man needed me, I was able to be there for. That's why we do the work we do, because we got to break those cycles. We need healthy families and healthy communities. That doesn't mean that there wasn't any trauma. The question is, how do we get from that trauma to a better place? I was able to be there for him. And I stood there in the middle of my house. I looked up. I said, God, all these people depending upon me, and I done lost my. I thought about the two things that my mother and father taught me. My mother went to a state-approved Negro high school and died functionally illiterate. My father dropped out of school in the 8th grade to pick cotton and died illiterate. I grew up in a house with no books. My mama taught me that a job may be your resource, but God is your source. And my daddy taught me that a man's supposed to get up every day and go out and hunt and kill, or he shall not eat. And because I had all these degrees, I went in my room, I fell on my knees, I prayed, and I got up. The next day, I went and founded an alternative energy company where we take waste streams, i.e. waste vegetable oil, and convert it to alternative fuel and sell it to the fuel streams. And because I had this hope, because I had these degrees, because I had these skills, my family never had to depend on another man, another woman, another government to do for them what they otherwise could do for themselves. I had self-agency. I had hope. I had belief. I had tools in my pocket that I can use. And what's lacking in many communities and what's lacking with many people is that self-agency. A belief that regardless of what happened, a belief that regardless of what's going on, I can save myself. And that's the work that we do. Somehow we got to find a way to get that to them. Because the tragedy in Hurricane Katrina was this. Those 40,000 people was outside the convention center with signs saying, "Help me, help me." And there was an old man who knew that the levee go from New Orleans to Baton Rouge, so he put on 3 pairs of socks and a pair of boots and started walking. By the time the United States government made it to New Orleans, 4, 5, 6 days late, the Canadian Redcoat made it to New Orleans before the federal government. This dude was in Baton Rouge chilling because he had self-agency. And I tell a story about my dad dropping out of school in the 8th grade. I tell a story about my mom having a state-approved Negro school. I tell a story of challenges because one thing my parents, with all of the lack, had was self-agency. Hurricanes come now, and people get mad with me because I said hurricanes been coming all our life. And I grew up as a little boy, and you do what your parents do and what your people do. When a hurricane comes, there were certain things you're supposed to do. One, you go get a big block of ice. You get a case of beer. You get you some Spam, some pot of meat, some crackers, some Vienna sausages, some sardines. So how we out here with nothing? How we out here with nothing? And I tell a story about, if y'all remember when the tsunami hit Indonesia and killed 100,000 people. There's a story about the people on the Suri Island, S-U-R-I, the Suri Island. And the Suri Island is 100 miles off the coast of Indonesia. And the tsunami hit that island too. And not one animal or one person died. And they went to study and say, how could the tsunami, these people living back in the day with no technology, how did they not die? And the people with all the money in the world got killed. And they went to the island, and the elders told them, they said, the elders always taught the kids that when God eats the water, you run for the hills. It's a story passed down. When God eats the water, you run for the hills. So the kids out playing, fishing, and I love to fish. They playing, and the water disappears. And what clicks in their head? God has eaten the water. So even the animals, everybody was running for the hills. When a tsunami hit, not a person died. 100 miles later, on the coast of Indonesia, people on the palatial resorts, sunbathing, like I was in Cabo last week. That's just too much for me, but after about 3 days, I'm like, I'm done. This tequila, I ain't even getting drunk. I'm just drinking tequila. They own this palatial resort. The water disappears, and these good, intelligent, rich people run out in the ocean to see what happened. And a block of water hit them, killed 100,000. Because they didn't know the lessons of the elders. Y'all don't see where I'm going. They don't know the lessons of the elders. 1965, a hurricane hit New Orleans called Betsy, flooded the lower Ninth Ward. There's still rumors today that they blew the levees. That was the whole Spike Lee documentary is about. They blew the levees, and the people like, you think they blew the levees? They ain't blew no damn levees. In 65, they think they blew the levees. And there's video of the helicopters taking people off their roof, off their house. 40 years later, almost to the date, Hurricane Katrina come. Lower Ninth Ward, levee break, and you know the rest. They was taking people off the roof. Some of them in the same family. On video telling a story about how his daddy took him off the roof and now he had to take his son off the roof. See, when you go through a test, you know, if you, I was a professor and I used to tell my students, you know, if you don't get the lesson, you got to take the test again. You got to take the test again. And many of our communities, many of our people are challenged because we didn't get the lesson from our elders. And it's not black or white. I just toured Iowa. When they bring a black man like me to Iowa, you know America got problems. Really, bro, I was in Iowa. Like, this is crazy. They didn't get the lesson. So the question is now, how do we build high-functioning communities? Now, I'm an engineer. I'm talking this crazy stuff, right? I got 4 engineering degrees, and I'm talking this, right? Because somehow George Washington Carver, and somehow Booker T. Washington, and somehow all of these great men of Morehouse and the great men and women of Howard and Spelman and Xavier and Tougaloo and Southern have gone on to do great things. And we got a whole generation with way more who talking about they can't do STEM. We got a whole generation. Morehouse used to put 100 black men a year in a med school. Now putting 4 and 5. We got a whole generation who want to be pimp pushers, players, hustlers, and $2 tricks. Because we've normalized this crazy behavior. We've normalized it. Not only have we normalized it, we celebrate the people who become billionaires to be empowered to normalize it. I said it, I meant it, and I'm here to represent it. I ain't scared. And we see it, and we call it culture. And we know the culture is killing us from the inside out. And that's y'all biggest battle, the culture. Because I'm going to get to the 3 things. It's the culture. And it's killing us. It's killing us. We got to get the lessons. And I never forget, on that video when my son came home, and he said, Daddy, you know, I don't like science, and went through this thing. And my son now he just finished his freshman year at Howard University. I don't want to have a discussion about how my son chose Howard. It's very painful. I'm in counseling. Y'all think I'm clowning. Me and Morehouse, we got to live. We ain't talking right now. Ain't no way in the world my son should be at damn Howard. I brought the boy out the hospital wrapped in a Morehouse blanket. For the last 20 years, since 1999, I've spoken to every incoming freshman at Morehouse College. I took my son at 1 year old, took him to King Chapel, and gave him back to the ancestors on the stage like Kunta Kinte. You think I'm lying? I got pictures. Bring it down, Mackie. I'm just I'm not all the way through my counseling. But my son at Howard University on a full tuition, room, board, and fees scholarship through his PhD. Regardless of where you go for his PhD. That's what Howard has committed to him. And people say, well, Mackie, that's your son. That's what's supposed to happen. And I tell all my buddies, well, that's your son. You hear me? Mackie, that's your son. That was supposed to happen. Well, bro, that's your son. Why it ain't happening? And see, it's easy to go in low-income, low-resource communities and point the finger about what those people are not doing, but people don't want to hear about the issues with middle-class people and what they ain't doing, such that if middle-class people was doing what they were supposed to be doing, maybe low-income, low-resource people have something to aspire to. And it got very quiet with these middle-class people. Yeah, they kicked me out the Jack and Jill convention, too. They said, turn the mic off. So I tell my middle-class friends, if your son wanted to be a basketball player and LeBron had a camp, a LeBron kid was somewhere playing, and this is happening now, people are literally moving their kids to where LeBron kid plays. In the hope that their kid can maybe play with LeBron kid and learn from LeBron kid what LeBron is giving him, because LeBron is the man. Archie Manning, Peyton Manning, all the Manning boys got a camp in New Orleans every summer called QBU. 3,000 kids come from across the country because they want to be at this camp where these three quarterbacks in the NFL are, because maybe they just may learn something. That's fair. I get it. So if my son was able to achieve what he's able to achieve because he's my son, then I thought, well, maybe if I create a camp and we got evidence, because y'all like this evidence-based stuff. We got evidence. And you saying that happened because that's my son, then maybe you'll bring your son and daughter to my camp in the hope that something will rub off. If you want that for your son or daughter. If you want that for your son or daughter. We now live in a nation that makes sure every black and brown boy touches a football and a basketball before the age of 4. And every Saturday, there's 1 million kids playing football and basketball or doing gymnastics, playing golf, hoping and believing and dreaming that 18 or 20 years later, they'll be one of the 250 that get drafted and become millionaires. Or they'll become one of the 60 that get drafted and become millionaires. Or they'll be the one that win a gold medal. Or they'll be the one that be the next Tiger Woods and become a millionaire, and no one says anything. There's an entire ecosystem. There's an entire economy. There's an entire something called AAU to make sure that if your kid get football in school, your kid gonna get football out of school. If your kid get basketball and gymnastics in school, they're gonna get football and basketball out of school. So I had a dream and a vision like a stupid man. Because my dream and vision is I want to make sure that every kid, black, brown, white, or green, touches STEM before the age of 4. And I got a dream that every Saturday there'll be 1 million kids doing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, hoping and believing and dreaming that 18 or 20 years later, they'll be one of the 14 million millionaires in the world, or one of the 2,750 billionaires in the world. And here's the crazy part. There's 2,750 billionaires in the world, and not one of them ever played in the NFL. Arguably, there's 2 black billionaires who played basketball, and guess where they didn't make their money at? On the court. I'm supposed to be in Colorado right now with Robert Smith, richest black man in America. He got a camp for kids. He wanted me to come speak. This dude worked about $8 billion. And he worked $8 billion because, you know what? He got a chemical engineering degree. And after he got his chemical engineering degree, he went and did some engineering. And after he did his engineering, he saw things when he said, well, let me go to B school. And he went to business school, and then after he got out of business school, he went to Wall Street. And he went to Wall Street, he learned their game, and now he created a venture capital company that people said could not be done. He's become the gold standard for enterprise software. And people said you cannot use software as an asset. He showed them how, and now he's worth $8 billion. And if you give away $1 billion tomorrow, he'll make $2 billion the next day. And he doesn't have to ask anybody permission. If Beyonce a billionaire, if Jay-Z a billionaire, if Kanye crazy behind a billionaire, we got to call mental health when we see it. Y'all trained, I'm not, but I'm like, if there's crazy and that ain't it, I ain't trained, but I'm just judging. Let me stop. So I'm getting to what you all do, because what you all have done, I've done in STEM. I said, can I create a high-functioning STEM community? Can I create the AAU of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics such that if our kids get STEM in school, they'll get it out of school? You know, is it possible that I could give STEM to every kid, black, brown, white, green, rich or poor, such that they can find themselves and then discover the next James Webb telescope and say, I did that? So we created a high-functioning STEM community. So Dr. Langley talked about the Sankofa bird. And in 1999, my mentor, Dr. Morris F.X. Jeff Jr., when I moved back to New Orleans, he said, Kelvin, I got to take you home. I said, what you mean you got to take me home, man? I said, I'm from Backertown, Gerttown, Zion City. I'm from the lower 9 when we don't mind dying. I'm a 7th Ward hardhead. He said, no, Kelvin, we got to go home. I'm going to take you to the continent. I'm going to take you to the west coast of Africa, to Ghana, West Africa. And just like her, I went to Ghana. And I went to the Elmina Castle, first castle built in sub-Saharan Africa, where the Portuguese and the Dutch traded the dead yellow gold with the living black Africans, but eventually they stopped trading the dead yellow gold and they began to trade the living black Africans. But if you go back and you study the ancestors and you study the history, you understand what a high-functioning community is. And when you look at these high-functioning communities, whether it's the Ashanti people, the Akan people in West Africa, if you go to South Africa, you go to Nigeria and you look at high-functioning communities, if you look at the Jewish community, it's a high-functioning community. What is a high-functioning community? A high-functioning community is child-centered, adult-governed, and elder-ruled. Imagine 3 concentric circles: child-centered, adult-governed, and elder-ruled. In a high-functioning community, every decision made is made through the lens of what's in the best interest of the. So when we challenge the people that's killing our community and people defend them, that's because we have not put value on our. So what's in the best interest of the children? And then when you focus on the children, you surround the children with adults. And adults are the people like us that's supposed to work 40 to 80 hours a week to make sure that we create resources, create wealth, and do the things necessary such that the elder is freed up in a spring season of their life to pour into the. Oh, you got me, bro? And that's why mass incarceration so destroyed the African American community, because it displaced between 2 to 3 million adults. And then when you displace the adults, then the elders can't be who the elders need to be. Instead of the elders spending time with the kids and trying to pour into the kids, the elder out of place. Maybe y'all don't see this in your work, because that's what opioids is doing. Like Craig did. Now the elder out of place, because now the elder tired. Now they got to be running around after this baby. Since the elder tired and the baby knows he can outrun the elder, then the baby just run till the elder get tired, then the baby out the house, committing crimes, doing drugs, getting in everything they're not supposed to get into. because the community has no structure anymore. And the elder, when the elder in place, see, back in the day when my mom and them dropped out of school and this and that, I knew grandma, and we respected grandma, and there was reverence. And even though mom and daddy was acting crazy, they was there, but they'll take us to grandma, and grandma said, you ain't gonna do that. As a matter of fact, my grandma, I wrote a whole book called Grandma Hands. My grandma gave me 6 lessons that if you embody these lessons can transform your life. I mean, these lessons right here get you a PhD if you could just learn them. I mean, my grandmother died in 1987. 1988 at the age of 87. At the age of 88, she was born in 1899. I used to go visit her every summer in West Feliciana Parish, sitting on that porch. She taught me how to fish, everything. My grandmother used to say, baby, my grandmother knew more. My grandmother had forgotten more than most people knew. My grandmother used to say, baby, you could get on this dirty road and go anywhere in the world. She had never left Louisiana. Died illiterate, but was wiser than PhDs that I know today. Now we got people with education with no wisdom. So I wrote my book and I said about Grandma Hands and the lessons from grandma, because I said, how could my grandma die wise and be illiterate, but now we got all this education and dying with no wisdom? 6 lessons that my grandmother gave me. My grandmother said, every closed eye ain't sleep. Every goodbye ain't gone. Everything done in the dark will come to light. Misery loves company. Birds of a feather. And if you lay down with dogs, nah. Nah. That's PhD right there. That's PhD. That's the agency. That's not being spoken anymore from the elder into the child. Now, what that got to do with what we're talking about here today? Everything, because that broken structure is what you all are dealing with. And when the structure broken, there's no hope. And when there's no hope, you see all these things that we are doing and people are getting into. And that's why we got to bring structure back. So what I did is I've created a high-functioning STEM community. And a high-functioning STEM community, again, is child-centered, so everything we do is through the lens of what's in the best interest of the children. The adults in our community are the college kids. So we put over $2.5 million in the hands of college students in the last 9 years, because I hired college students all across the city of New Orleans, paid them $15 an hour to go out in the community and work with kids. And then we invite the companies and the STEM professionals to come and volunteer, because they're the elders. And they really don't want to do no work anyway. They just want to show up and say, look at me, I'm successful. And that's why a lot of volunteer programs fail. Oh, I said it. I don't want no volunteers, because we're doing the work. And the volunteer just wants to show up for a photo op and a plaque and a shirt. So I need people that's going to do the work. So I hire the college students and then let the professionals be how they are. So they can see, the problem is nobody now don't want to do the work. We want to have meetings about the work. We want to have panels about the work. We want to write memos about the work. We want to hashtag about the work. We want to social medium about the work. We want to create a deck about the work. We want to have a meeting about the work. We want to share the deck on Google Drive. Then we want to everybody edit the deck about the work. Then we present the work to our supervisor, and the supervisor edit the work. Then the supervisor send it back to us, and we look at the work. Then we got to edit it some more. And then, it's at year 1 of the grant. We got to write somehow about the work that we have not done. People want to do everything but the work. But when you got a high-functioning community, the work gets done. So now we've engaged over 100,000 kids now in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Companies love what we do because they can send their employees out into the community, check all their corporate social responsibility blocks. And when they show up, everything is in place. And the kids in the community get what they need. And now since we've been doing this for 9 years, and I started off talking about my son and his scholarship, and people say, yeah, Mackie, but that's your son. I said, you're damn right. And this year, Texas A&M University came to New Orleans and gave 2 young ladies who've been with us since they was 8 years old, from a challenged household, full tuition scholarships, $320,000 into one family. And the way you get your work done is that the last thing a parent want to know is that another kid is getting something that their kid isn't. So when all these parents see these kids winning, just like in sports, they dragging their kids saying, you're going to do this. And we're down doing this not only just in STEM, but we're doing it in health. We made an entire pathway around health, where now we got doctors going out into the communities. We've taken pre-med students and medical students, and we've created this whole model to try to create a cradle-to-career pipeline for health careers and health professionals so that we could challenge some of these health equities. You gotta have standards, you gotta have structure, and you gotta have a strategy. And I say you gotta have standards because every man must have a code. I don't know if y'all watch The Wire, but Omar said every man has to have a code. And as adults, we've lost our code. We got to get back to our standards. Now, in closing, I said I've been born 3 times in Morehouse. Okay, at Morehouse, because in short, I started Morehouse in remedial reading, developmental mathematics. When I got to Morehouse, they said C-spot run, I didn't even know what it was. They said, Mackie, go to remedial reading. And my friends used to laugh. Now on my way to remedial reading, every day I used to look up on the wall, and Benjamin Elijah Mays had a quote that said, when you find out that you're behind in a race of life, you got 2 choices, run faster or quit. And the problem is now too many of our children are quitting. Now I'm here today to tell you that it's hurting, it's hard work, but I need you not to quit. And every day I went in that basement of that building at Wheeler Hall, and they put me in front of a computer, and every day they would let the words go by faster and faster. And every day I read and I read and I read. And every day my friends laughed and they laughed and they laughed. But I got up every day and I ran and I ran and I ran. And after 3.5 years, after starting college in remedial reading, developmental mathematics, after the test, the SAT said that I should not even be in college, I finished Morehouse #1 in mathematics, #5 in the largest class Morehouse ever graduated, Magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. And when I came off the stage, they said, Mackie, when your father dropped out of school in 8th grade to pick cotton, when your mother went to state-approved Negro high school, when the test said you wasn't college material, who'd ever thought you'd come to Morehouse and do the things you have done? They said, what are you going to do now? I said, man, you know what I'm going to do? They said, what? I said, bro, you know what I'm going to do? They said, what? I said, I'm going to Georgia Tech. It's only 1.5 miles away and a $1.50 bus ride. And when I came out of high school, I remember the man laughing in my face at the college recruitment fair from Georgia Tech when I told him my SAT scores. 2 weeks later, I started Georgia Tech. 18 months later, I finished my second undergraduate degree, a BS in mechanical engineering. 2 degrees in 5 years to the inner city ghetto kid from back in town, Gertown, Zion City of New Orleans, who they said never should have been in college. Don't tell me about hope. 2 years later, I finished my master's degree. In 1996, I became one of 11 African Americans in the country that year to receive a PhD in mechanical engineering. Never forget, I came off the stage and I was looking. And I tell that story, not to brag, I tell that story to let you know that God has impregnated all of us, especially all of our children, with something so great, such that if it's nurtured and they're allowed to give birth to it, it'll make Bill Gates look like a midget in the annals of history. But yet and still, too many of our children and too many of us have committed to having abortions on our dreams. Why are you here? Why are you doing this work? Because the work I do, I can't sleep at night. Because I know there's a little boy, a little girl that might not be able to achieve their American dream or do what they're supposed to do if I don't get up the next day and do what I'm supposed to do. That's why we're here. And when we do that, not only do we make a difference in the community, but we make a difference in us. People see the fire in us and they respond. I got kicked out of Tulane University. When I lost my job, I called my pastor. Pastor Brown, no, I called Pastor Brown. Pastor Brown said, Mac, I saw you lost your job on TV. And he was laughing. I said, Pastor Brown, you think that funny? I got 8 people living in my house. My daddy on hospice. He said, Brother Mac, I've heard your prayer. You used to pray, God, did you want me to teach 50 a semester or 500 a day? He said, the only thing God did for you was that what you didn't have the courage to do for yourself. I said, really? He said, yeah, and I hung up the phone on him. Bam. I got kicked out of the university, and now we've created a communiversity. We've been doing this for 9 years. We've engaged 100,000 kids, and I'm building a $42,000, $15 million STEM Innovation Center on the black side of town in New Orleans. You gotta have hope. When we was in our garage with our own money, people said, man, what you doing? And now major corporations coming down saying, we've never seen this before. That's what you have to do in your community. And it can start with each one of you all. Each one of you all. Don't think it can't be you. And don't think because you're being challenged, it can't be you. Don't think because you got a bad boss or supervisor, messed up organization, it can't be you. You got to get up every day and keep doing the work. Now, I got to get out of here. And I fly a lot. Bro, I fly a lot. And I'm going to fly. I got to go pick up my son in North Carolina on Friday. But I never forget pre-COVID. I'm a 2 million mile on Delta. Now, flying is crazy right now. I mean, if y'all on the plane, I'm going to give y'all some etiquette for flying if you don't fly a lot. But these people crazy. They got ducks on the plane, chickens. I saw a brother yesterday with a dog that big. There ain't no comfort dog. Walking through the airport with this big old dog. How you going to get on the damn plane with that dog? I just stopped in the airport like, man, ain't this something? Well, look, I fly a lot. And my wife, remember they took the plane in Malaysia and the plane ran into the mountain plane. My wife said, look, you got to stop all this flying. I got these 2 boys we raising. I said, look, woman, this is what I do. You knew what you're getting into when you got me. She said, no, I thought you was going to be a professor. Now you're flying over. So this is what you got, all right? So she said, you need to stop all that flying. I said, look, I got to fly. She said, why you got to fly? I said, because if my mouth ain't moving, we ain't eating, and you like to eat, so I got to fly. I got to go get on the plane and get to them. She said, well, look, you know, we raising these boys, these planes falling out the sky. I said, look, if the plane go down, I want my son to know 2 things. She said 1. I said, tell him, 2 things I want them to know. Tell him, I was out here every day trying to answer these existential questions of who am I and why am I here? And that's what I expect out of them. And 2 things you want to tell them that I was a man and I lived. She said, all right, I'll tell him. I said, but look, if the plane do go down, I only want 1 word on my tombstone. Promise that. She said, stop talking like that. I'm trying to raise these kids. I said, look, woman, if the plane go down, listen to me 1 time at least. Just listen 1 time. I can say that because she ain't here, right? Just listen 1 time. If the plane go down, I only want 1 word on my tombstone. She said, Kelvin, don't talk about that. I said, look, if the plane go down, you're going to be all right. She said, well, how all right am I going to be? I said, double indemnity, all right. I said, look, woman, if the plane go down, I only want 1 word on my tombstone. She said, all right, fool, what's the word? I said, the plane go down and I die. The only word I want on my tombstone is empty. Because I want the world to know I gave it my. That's all we asking of you all. Give it your all. Thank you. Give it your all. Woo. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Mackey. Certainly, he has given us a task, right? We're going to give it our all, and anything less is unacceptable. Um, the time, everyone, is 9:22, something like that. The sessions don't start till 10:30, so we have a little lag time. We are ahead of schedule, which is nice. So there's some time you all can take a walk, have some more food. Yes, sir. Uh-oh. Well, okay, so Dr. Mackey is willing to do a Q&A. Also, if you need to use the internet, it is the Marriott Conference, and the access code is MSM 2022. And I guess that'll be good for upstairs as well? Yes, so that would be what you would need for upstairs as well when you're in the breakout rooms. Um, Okay, so I have just been given directives that this is the boss. I have just been given, told that Mr. Mackey is willing to do pictures after the Q&A if you all would like, but we're gonna do it in an organized manner. And we got a nice step and repeat that we can do photos in front of. Also, I want to say, if anybody has any information about their organizations they want to share, that table back there is for you to drop your business cards or your information so we can network in a sense. We didn't have any vendors for this conference. Yes, ma'am. What else? I think that's it. Dr. Mackey?
So good. I have no problems taking questions. I hate to come and do what I do and don't have the opportunity to talk to people anyway in an open forum. So I'm glad we have more time. Yes, ma'am. Georgia, South Carolina? We're in South Carolina. Near Charleston. Right now, what you saw in the video, we started something called STEM NOLA, which we believe is a high-functioning STEM community ecosystem. We're now scaling it across the country. We got a $3 million grant recently from the Department of Defense to scale what we're doing through the state of Louisiana, Shreveport. We got STEM Alexandria, Central Louisiana, STEM Shreveport, Northern Louisiana. We got STEM Grambling, backed by Magic Johnson and Sodexo Magic. We're all the way along the Gulf Coast from New Orleans. We got camps this summer in Biloxi, Gulfport, Pensacola, and Panama City. We got STEM Illinois, we're in Saginaw, Michigan. So the point is that Atlanta and Charleston are 2 cities on my map. Really, there's 4 cities really on my map. Atlanta, Charleston, Charlotte, and DC. So we may be kicking off DC this summer. They taping this, but I'm really talking to Boeing. Boeing has a big presence in Charleston. And if you know anything about Charleston, Marlon Kempson, who's the state senator there, Marlon Kempson used to sleep on my floor. His cousin was my roommate. And I'm kicking his butt to try to find the funding so we can replicate this in Charleston. Things are in the talks for Atlanta and other places. There was a company called ID Tech. ID Tech was a company that used to go to these major universities, rent a dormitory, and charge families $2,000 to $3,000 for these technical camps. Now, who can afford that but middle-class people, right? What we're trying to do is create the ID Tech for low-income, low-resource communities. Bring that same level of technology and training to communities who otherwise don't have it, and then get people to pay for it. So when we're dealing with these major corporations, they say they got a workforce talent issue, pay for it, because that's what the NBA and NFL doing. And now we've created this mythical pipeline, and now we're driving kids into major corporations. So the answer to your question is, if you go to stemglobalaction.com, you can see as we expand to your community. And moreover, what we're trying to do is we're trying to curate programs, because there are programs in your community and sometimes you don't know. So at STEM Global Action, we're trying to work with communities and curate the programming so that people would know where to send their kids. Okay? Question? Bro, you, yes, ma'am. If it's with passion. And it- thank you. Thank you. Where are you from? Thompson? Thomasville. Now look, I went to Morris for 11 years. I know Georgia. My roommate was from Warrenton. I hung out all over. I used to date people all over Georgia. They have phones then, bro. Get in my car, drive all the way to Macon. But here's the thing. It's very important. It's not only important for the kids, but it's also important for professionals. That's why I start off saying don't confuse my passion with anger. Because I've been doing, look, you wouldn't believe the rooms I walk into, and people got certifications in STEM education, and I got a PhD in it. I've made engineers. No, that ain't arrogance. I made engineers. I was an engineering professor for 12 years. I've given out PhDs in engineering. I've stood on a stage and I said, with all the rights and appertaining here within, now you can go practice. And somebody with a certification gonna tell me about STEM education? And I'm supposed to sit there like some little dummy and take that? You understand what I'm saying? So I tell my people in my organization right now, we're gonna act like we the king of the hill. I take meetings. I don't go to them. And people say, well, that's arrogant. No, that's not arrogant. That's just the way it is. We done built something. And if you want to know what we got, you got to come to us. And people say, well, no, why you act like this? I act like this because for 25 years I sat in this community, and they had a whole apparatus going on, and I was never invited to the table. I was never invited to the table. As a matter of fact, they got ed reform in New Orleans. They chartered all the schools. For 4 years, I tried to get a charter school. I wanted to create a K-12 STEM continuum, and I was turned down every time with a PhD in engineering. So now, I go out and create something that's independent of all that apparatus, and now they want me to come to them and share with them what I'm doing. You're out your rabbit mind. That ain't the way the world works. That ain't the way the world works. Superintendent of schools come to me. I don't even work with the schools in New Orleans for the most part. Now they just starting to warm up to us. And the superintendent say, well, how are you going to make this work with the schools? I said, that's your job. That ain't mine. I'm building a whole 40,000 square foot center in the community doing for the kids what you all not. You need to be asking me, how can y'all do what I'm doing? They say, well, you don't even come talk to people. I say, I go where I'm celebrated, not where I'm tolerated. I ain't trying to convince anybody. Yes, sir. There it is. There it is. And let me tell you what we've done now, because when I say we've created this STEM ecosystem, and that's why I take a shot at the funding agencies, because I haven't gotten a dollar. And I got the Presidential Award in STEM mentoring from George W. Bush and National Science Foundation in 2003, 2004 at the White House. And I have not got a dollar from NSF for what I'm doing, from National Science Foundation. I haven't gotten a dollar, right? And National Science Foundation always come down and say, well, have you been evaluated? I say, look, have you evaluated your programs? I say, look, if kids show up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and you can see the videos, we got hundreds of kids showing up. If kids show up on a Saturday morning with nothing in their hand, spend 3.5 hours working with professionals and college students, and then leave after 3 hours with something they built, if you don't think they're learning, it's not the kids that need evaluating. It's you. Then they get mad. Well, you ain't gonna get our money. I say, I don't need your money. Now that's what they ain't used to. I said our kids used to being poked and proud. I'm not gonna ask a kid to come here at 9 in the morning and then put a Scantron in front of the kid, how you feel, did you eat breakfast, you know, do you like STEM? That ain't doing nothing. I said, as a matter of fact, you let our black boys play basketball for 3 hours and you don't ask them if they're more likely to be a basketball player. Hell, you let them play basketball for 3 months during the summer and you don't ask them if they're more likely to be a basketball player. But you want me to put a kid in a health careers program for 3 hours or 3 weeks, then ask him, are you more likely to be a doctor? Hell no. No. I said, these kids gonna get to do what other middle class kids get to do. Explore. Y'all first word, explore. And find themselves. So we spend $15,000 to $25,000 every Saturday, and kids just get to come and explore. We have a heart and circulation day where we invite the hospital, the doctors out. Most kids only get to meet doctors when they're sick. We have up to 200 kids in a gym in white lab coats. I'll show you the video. Doing dissection on a sheep heart with real surgeons. Parents crying. And then they build a mechanical heart and they leave with it. We got a rocket day coming up. Your granddaughter live in New Orleans? We got a rocket day June 23rd. Tell them to go register. It may be closed because we have 300 slots, and in 2 days the slots filled up. Boeing coming down. We got an astronaut coming down, and the kids go outside and they build rockets and shoot rockets with real engineers that make rockets from Boeing. Ain't no damn tests. They're exploring. So, no, and this is what I want to say. And the reason why I can fight back and push back on the government agencies that won't fund because of this and that, we started this with $100,000 in our garage in 2013. 2019, we did $1 million in revenue. 2020, we did $2.1 million in revenue. Last year, we did $4.2 million in revenue. Scalable, transferable, reproducible, and now proved to be sustainable. And in all your grants that you apply to, NIH and all these people ask, what's your sustainability plan? And you ain't met a damn sustainable program yet in your life. And see, I ain't never scared. I've been there before. I done written the grants. I done sat down with the program directors. I'm like, hey, yes, ma'am. What's your name? Sheena. Sheena, where you from? I'm originally from Chesapeake, Virginia, but I work in Metro Atlanta. Metro Atlanta. Ooh, you just hit it on the head. I mean, there's a guy I just brought into my organization to do training around, what we do is intergenerational learning. You got those 3 levels. I call it vertical mentoring. But I didn't realize I was gonna have challenges because in my organization right now, I got nearly 40 employees. I got from college students all the way, my man, Mr. Alex and Mr. Roth. Now here it is, I'm Dr. Mackey. And the only 2 people get called Mr. in my organization is Mr. Alex and Mr. Roth, because they're 70 years old. And we got 21 years old one talk about Alex. I say, hey, who's Alex? Who the hell is Alex? A young lady working in my organization, she looked at Mr. Alex, she said, that's the worst hire you ever made. And I knew then she was done. Because she didn't understand. I got them there for a reason. So we're trying to work through that intergenerational learning. And the biggest challenge I'm having right now with my organization, is that a major company came down and gave me $1 million check, and they said, what you're trying to do is amazing. You're trying to build community. No, you're trying to build people while you're trying to build a business. And many of my employees come from the community, because we can talk about that tomorrow in my session. That's important, right? That's why it's got to be called STEM NOLA. That's why it got to be called STEM Charleston. Got to be called STEM Baton Rouge. It can't be STEM NOLA in Charleston. We got to find people from the community, train them up, and give them the technical assistance to replicate the model there. So the intergenerational thing is very important. The communication thing is very important. And tomorrow I'll talk about it. The communication is a sender, a messenger, channel, and a receiver. And those 4 components, they got to be addressed. And we get the sender and receiver thing messed up. All right. And many of the young people, they have not been in situations where they had to receive. I mean, they're not. It's very difficult for them to be vulnerable now, because they're so vulnerable. So they put up a wall. I mean, I look at Facebook every day, and I'm on Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, website, TikTok, I'm everywhere. And you see the trauma in our community on social media. I mean, you see the trauma. And then people put crazy stuff online, and then you challenge them on it, like, why are you coming to my page? You write in an open forum. You write something stupid in an open forum, and then get mad because everybody going this stupid. I mean, so we're dealing with the intergenerational thing, and it's real. Communication is at the key. Respect is a moving target with many of these young people. I just fired the young lady. She had been with me for 5 years, and I fired her. And I mean, hurt me. Hurt me. But I said, I got to save the ship. And she was so disrespectful. And I realized there got to be some trauma there. Because why would you self-sabotage? And the elders even noticed it, right? They come talk to me. They say, we know you're trying to be, but, I said, I got it. I got it, Mr. Al. I got it, Mr. Rowe. So those are the things that we're trying to do to address those issues. And that's why I call talking about a high-functioning community, because I believe everybody's reachable, teachable, and redeemable. So in essence, with my STEM ecosystem, this has nothing to do with damn STEM. At the end of the day, what we've done is that we've created a community, and people are being exposed, they're being engaged in ways they've never been exposed and engaged before. Because they've never, a young brother came up to me one day and said, where men like you come from? Damn. But every Saturday he get to come and see men. Touch them, feel them. And it's authentic, it's not performative. So that's why grandmothers dragging their kids, because they see it. The elders see it. The 2 young ladies that got the $300,000 in scholarships, and I hope you understand that's big. I have not received $300,000 in funding from the city of New Orleans, but yet and still, the ROI now is $300,000. And that's just 2 of them. We got even more. But the grandma saw me on the news and called the mama and said, them babies need to be, what that man doing, them babies need to be over there. And the mom was working overnight, said, I don't know if I can get them there. And the mom was working overnight, started getting off work, then taking the 2 daughters. Then the 2 daughters almost like my daughter. Now, one of them went to the prom with my son last month, because every Saturday, they had a place, they had a clubhouse. See, boys got sports, that's their clubhouse. They could go and say, the coach made a difference in my life. Because they get that discipline, they get that interaction. So now we've built that in another way where kids can come, have this intergenerational interaction, and understand how they're supposed to respond to people. We say we don't do that here. We don't do that here. We don't have any behavior problems. I'm talking about 400 people in a gym for 9 straight years. Google it. And now we're seeing behavior changes in the kids. I'm going to give y'all 3 things that I really wanted to get in the speech. I'm glad my man called back up because I didn't want to go on and on. But the 3 things we really need to focus on is skill set, assets, and mindset. The problem in society right now is they want to make, they're trying to turn school into like workforce development. They're trying to turn school into workforce development. And what we do know is school is one of the most socializing institutions in the world. The stuff you're talking about, miss, that's, if they didn't get it at home, school's supposed to be structured in a way such that, and when teachers and when administrators can't say, you know, sit down, or you're not going to talk to adults like that, that is a problem. So when you turn school into workforce development, it's only about skill sets. So people want to know, do they leaving school without skills? I said, yeah, the skills they got is called, they ain't getting it's called damn home training. That's the first skills they need. All right? You got to have skills to pay the bills. The man or woman who doesn't have skills asks people how much they pay. The man or woman who does have skills tell people how much they charge. My daddy was a roofer. He told people how much they charge. My plumbing broke the other day. That damn plumber told me how much he charged. So everybody needs skills to pay the bills. I agree. But after you get skills, you got to have the right assets. And this is where you all come into play, right? Young lady I fired, she had all the skills in the world, but she didn't have the right assets. And people think assets is money. And assets is not something that you sit on either. People got their hair done, but not their head did. You got it? Now we got, you know, we used to have pretty women and hard-working men. Now we got pretty men and hard-working women. Because people don't have the right assets. That's when they put me out of essence, right? Like, you got to go. I was on the stage, that's in 2010. They looked at me like, who put this? I don't even get invited to the VIP section no more, bro. So then you got to have the right assets. The assets are more, you know, the right people in your life is more important than having the right money. We got trust fund babies, but we don't have babies with trust. You see, I spend time with different people, right? And it's easy to look at low-income people. But when I'm spending time with these other people, see how messed up their kids are, and how messed up their families are, and how messed up their community are, then you realize this ain't really a money issue. We got trust fund babies, but we don't have babies with trust. So it's the people, right? What we're trying to do is put the right assets in the community so these kids can find trust again in people. The greatest form of wealth is making money. The lowest form of wealth, is making money. The greatest form of wealth is making a difference. That's your work. You got billionaires that die and nobody ever know their name. That's why most of these rich people, before they die, know what they try to do? Make a difference. Can I put my name on something so people can remember me? You ain't help a damn person when you're along the way. The Saints New Orleans Saints, I was with the owner recently, and they want to fund, you know, we started a mentoring program, and they gave $10,000. I said, y'all spend more money on the alcohol every Sunday in your VIP suite. So you can't fight and beg the same people. So if you ain't be my friend, I got to fight you. You ain't no either or with me. Got to fight you. So after assets, when you get the right people, and that's why y'all so important, because you may be the most sane person that some of these communities or people see. After skill sets, assets, then you got to have the right mindset. And that's where we're missing it, right? That is the challenge. That's the change that we are seeking. And people change for one of three reasons. They change when they're given enough, they change when they learn enough, and or they change when they hurt enough. And the problem is we're seeing too many people hurting. So we got to try to give them enough and educate them enough so they never get to the position where they need to hurt. And that's why mindset is so important. And that's why kids spending time with elders in the structure is so important. Because a lot of times the elders can talk kids through the trauma and let them know that that's not normal, that's not supposed to be happening. But when they're just out there on their own and they got to figure it out without the right mindset, that's how we get to the situation that we're in. So they're going to shut me down. Thank you all. I'm going to be around all day. And I'm going to be around tomorrow. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you. It's 9:45. Dr. Mackey, if you would like to take a photo with him, we're going to start a line. You can use your own cell phone. There's a break for at 10:15. The first session starts at 10:30. Upstairs, please look at your chart. The locations are in red. If you do not have a copy, there are printed copies on the table out in the lobby. Thank you.